everyone, it's Skiesti. It's been a little bit. I was moving. You'll probably notice that the audio might be a little off, a little different. It's because this room basically has nothing in it yet, so bear with me. We're looking at a 1.9k SR game today. This Mercy was very close to their peak when they sent me their VOD. They struggle with positioning and decision making. They'd like to improve on their positioning, beam priority, and ult tracking. They're also concerned that they're not letting their main support do the bulk healing, so let's take a look. Starting with team composition, Ana is your other support, so she'll be handling the majority of healing on your tanks. For DPS, you've got Genji and Cassidy. You'll be playing with Cass for the most part. Nice damage boost for initial damage, although I'd keep damage boost to Sigma as he has more impact with his range until Hog gets a hook as they're walking up. Once your team starts backing up, I'd encourage you to reposition sooner and also start focusing damage boost onto your Cassidy. You can position on the high ground safely since they're running Doom and Reaper. This also prevents the punch you take. I like that you commit to pushing with your team instead of going back to peel for Ana versus the Reaper. You're most likely not going to do much by yourself, so cleaning up the fight and then going back to res after with your Cassidy protecting you is the play. This is an unfortunate part of preferred beam target, so in situations like this, you can disconnect your beam to guarantee you won't be pulled back to your team, or wait until you're closer to Guardian Angel. You know that your Ana is sitting on the elevator on high ground, so as long as she has a sight line, you should be damage boosting your DPS instead of healing your tanks. And again, you should really just be sitting on the high ground. Their DPS comp means that you can easily take that position, and they'll be forced to use cooldowns or take longer pathing to get to you. If you're playing on the ground clumped together with your team, you're much easier for them to dive. The Reaper is pretty heavily targeting your Ana. Although you generally do want to peel for her, sometimes it's better off to let her die so you can win the fight and then just res her after or let her come back. I would encourage you to be patient with this res. Focus on keeping the team alive and then go back for it. You should not be taking on the Reaper by yourself or going for the res when he's still close by. Good damage boost on the hook again, but remember to play a bit further back near the corner. You're incredibly lucky that you don't get shattered here because the right corner cuts off his line of sight of you, I think, but I would strongly encourage you playing a bit further back and utilize beam range to prevent close calls like this. I think that you Valkyrie when the shatter hits. You won't be saving Hog either way, but if you Valk this, a few things happen. You're able to pocket Sigma much more safely, you're able to avoid the Doom dive on you, you're able to assist with your team's aggression, and also, hopefully, there's less uncertainty of team positioning on your part because everyone feels kind of all over the place right now. I'm a bit hesitant to advise Valking here though, just because the enemy team isn't pushing that hard, but I think for the sake of your survival and those of your team that are aggressing outside of Ana's sight line, it could be beneficial. Watch for beam breaks like this. Be a little more aware of where your team is so that you don't lose them. You'd also super jump to the high ground and have a better view on them. If you've got a moment, quickly damage boost Sigma's lift influx and then return to your squishies. You can play from the high ground and help those on low ground from there as long as beam permits. Don't abandon Cass when Doom goes on him. Even though Genji is critical, he's safe since no one's pushing him. Heal Cass through Doom's dive, then res on the high ground. I think that's the play. With the current situation, I don't think you can save Genji, but if you had healed Cass through Doom and res Ana, you would have been able to return to neutral sooner and been able to help Genji. And again here, just watch positioning too close to your tanks. During this entire sequence, you're really close to your team. Since they're still playing Reaper and Doom, you can be a bit more in the open safely. You don't have to worry about hit scan taking sightlines on you. You can play on the bridge as long as you're still in beam range, or you can GA off the edge. It's just to keep some distance if you'd like. Your tanks stay in Valk beam range the entire time, although it looks close to breaking. You can keep beam on Sigma to be able to heal Hog through the pin. It should reach him. Something a lot of Mercies do when they Valk is angle themselves in such a way that restricts their view of the fight. This normally happens when a Mercy positions higher up in Valk and looks down at their team, rather than playing lower and further back. If you position yourself more like this, you'll be safer by doing so and won't be restricting your line of sight either. I would encourage you to damage boost through the duration of High Noon. When Valk ends, you should be resetting on the high ground to play with your Cass, and I probably wouldn't follow Tracer in their spawn, just let her do her thing. You can damage boost Sigma until the enemy rounds the corner and your Cass has a sight line, and then you should probably be with your Cass. When Sigma takes damage, you don't need to be the one to heal him. Ana's got a sight line, let her handle the tanks. Pay attention to and stick with your teammates on the high ground instead. Ana doesn't have a sightline on Hog when he's being pushed on the left side, so you'll have to be the one to help him. You should reposition earlier. You know Hog is going to go out of your beam range and that it's going to break. You take longer than you should getting to the other side, and I'd encourage you to be a bit more aware of your environmental surroundings so you don't run into stuff trying to reposition. Instead of standing here and boosting Tracer when she's not doing anything, you can move up a little bit to damage boost Sigma, spamming into the doorway, and then swap to Cass once the enemy starts to push in. You can let Ana take care of the small bit of damage that Sigma takes, and remember that you can damage boost the lift in Sigma's ultimate. Playing way too close to your tanks, you should be further back on the other balcony or on the top of the building. This would make it so that you don't get rocked. Instead of super jumping to avoid this Doom ult, since you're going right into it, is to either look to GA to someone on high ground or walk back instead of GA forward, or super jump earlier. Either way though, again, you shouldn't be playing with your tanks at all during this. You could play a bit further back here, and there's not really a reason to super jump right now. You either wanted to land on the walkway or just play further back to avoid Sig ult. Once Sig ult ends, I would look to super jump up onto the walkway or to the top of the building. In normal circumstances, Valk is unnecessary here because your team has already won the fight, but this is also last fight, so you might as well just use your ultimate since they have nothing to retouch with. Right, your comp is changed to Doom and Cass. You're still going to be pocketing Cass as your default choice. I would encourage you to leave tank healing as much as you can to your Moira so that you can pocket your Cass, and we've been talking about that a lot. Right now your job is to pocket Cass for damage and keep Moira alive so that she can heal your tanks, and then you can do your job and it's a whole cycle. When Hog hooks, try to damage boost it just to secure kills. Moments like this, you should be damage boosting Cass again. Try to practice having a little more trust in your second healer unless the tanks are like a quarter health or something. I don't think you should be going back to Moira and Sigma. You should be helping your Cass and Hog push the backline and clean up this fight. When Winston is on you, you can super jump to the high ground, and once he jumps after you, you can GA down to your team on point near the mini health pack. Let the rest of your team cap and just push up with your Sigma and Doom. You guys don't need 4 people to cap, so you're free to go up. When the door opens, I would slingshot past Moira to Sigma to help him, because until the sim TP's behind you, you're not really doing anything. And this is a way for you to provide value in those smaller moments. I know you're aiming for the high ground here, but you missed, so it's probably better to slingshot forward and go through the cafe door just to be safer. I can't tell if the backwards Guardian Angel here is intentional or not, but it works. Backwards GA is hit or miss. It's a little picky. She doesn't like to work very often or consistently or reliably. Hog players often go for flanks like this. Let him do his thing, because you being there with him isn't really contributing a lot. You're better off remaining in main with the rest of your team and focusing on the following to win the fight. Damage boosting Moira's Coalescence, her ultimate, keeping Cass alive and damage boosted, and maybe get a res onto Doom with a Valk if possible. This Valk feels incredibly late. It could have been done about like 15 seconds earlier when Cass dies so you can res him and then damage boost to finish out the fight. Since your team is so far back, it's too dangerous to try to get the res, so I would encourage you to just back up and not even try to go for it. After the Winston jumps on you and you Guardian Angel away, pay attention to who he goes on next to peel for them. Should be on Echo or Cass instead of Sigma, but when Echo flies up while your Cass is ulting, I would probably prioritize her. Moira can help Cass right now. Echo doesn't have anyone that can help her, so you've got to be the one to do it. Once Moira is healed to full, find your Echo and pocket her. Leave the tanks to Moira. Playing on high ground is good from you, but in this case, it cuts off your line of sight to be able to help your Moira when she takes too much damage, so just be careful about that. Watch the beam disconnects here. Sigma's on the ground, so he can't do damage anyway. I'd heal him throughout this entire portion and also position on the right roof instead of the left walkway so you stay in beam range. Keep heal instead of damage boost on Hog as you fly to res Sig so Hog can be in better health. Once Cole comes out from Moira, Hog is in a pretty safe health range so you can start damage boosting. You don't need to drop off the roof of jail, you can stay there safely and finish out the game. And that'll be it for this VOD review. I hope this was helpful and that you can apply it to your future games. Again, I'm so sorry that this was kind of late. Actually very late. But either way, I wish you good luck. I hope it was still helpful and thank you so much for watching. And as always, I'll see you next time.